Welcome back to Hernando Hot Rods. Today, working on the Nova. I got the thing rolled out, got the 6-liter pulled out, just a mock-up block, and I got some old heads laying around and a Turbo 400 laying around that we're gonna bolt up, get it laid in there, and see if we gotta adjust the transmission crossmember, which I also have laying around here somewhere. And then we can start getting ready to see where our turbo is going to sit, get the turbo piping started to a certain extent, maybe the hot side first, and go from there. So let's get to it. Got this old pile of junk off the ground, out of the way. And if you're wondering why this is a mock-up block might still be good. It's still a full short block, but this one got a little crooked on us. So picked it up for $100 on Marketplace. Guy said it was hydrolocked or something. I don't know, I've never seen something hydrolocked get that bad. Usually you just bend a rod. But who knows, maybe one day this could be bored out and made into a hot rod engine again, but for now, just gonna be for mock-up, and I'm happy that's full weight, so maybe we could see what the Nova's not factory, but sitting ride height is gonna be. Got the firewall all taped up with some blue Scotch-Brite tape, Scotch Guard tape, something like that. Got the 6-liter here, about to mate it up to the Turbo 400. Got old boy out here. There he is, he's listening. So about to mate these two and hopefully start figuring out how to get where I want the motor mounts placed, and we'll go from there. So I got the boat anchor in. Obviously, we have a lot further to go back. I gotta put the motor plates on, and then the little like small block Chevy brackets onto those plates. And then I gotta see, I might have to bring the engine back, see where that's gonna land, and then adjust accordingly. Or I'm gonna bolt them to the crossmember first and then see where that lands on the plate, and then hopefully I could get the 4, or I think it's 3. Hopefully I could get the 3 bolts in. So I'm gonna get those, and then hopefully we can kind of see where this is gonna sit forward and backward, and hopefully my transmission crossmember lines up properly. All right, so I got the ICT billet motor mount plates. These 4 holes bolt to the LS block, and then these smaller, they're like 3/8 thread holes go for the small block Chevy mount, and you can set it forward and backward accordingly. It's got P for passenger. These are really nice pieces, and they're pretty cost efficient. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place this on the crossmember, place this on the LS block, figure out where I want to set it as far as bolt hole wise, and then probably lift it back up, bolt it all together, and then drop it down. All right, so got the ICT billet motor plates on, got the small block Chevy motor mounts on, and now we got to line up. This is gonna have to be further back and down, obviously, but now we got to figure out which holes we're gonna use and try to get them lined up as close as possible. If I can't bolt it up, then I'll mark the holes, pull the engine back up, and then bolt this on there, and then we'll use the big bolts. I got 1 bolt in. I think that's where this thing should be sitting. Right now there's no support on the transmission, so we got a lot of angle, but I think that's where we need to be, just 1 forward bolt hole back, which then everything else would line up. And then right now the engine's kind of twisted. So I need this to lay down towards that side. And then I also need to straighten it out because right now everything's crooked. So as predicted, I'm not gonna be able to thread it up this way, but I'm gonna lift it again and we're gonna go 1 notch back and then try to use these big bolts because they're a lot easier to get in than 6 small bolts. So we're gonna get this thing lifted, bolt the motor mounts to the motor plate and try again. All right, we're in the garage again. Today, I'm gonna yank this thing out. I figured out that due to the ICT billet adapter plates and their thickness, which I think is like almost like a 1/4 inch aluminum, it wasn't sitting in there correctly. So I couldn't get the passenger side motor mount to lay down correctly. So I'm just gonna yank the whole thing out at this point, and I'm gonna get rid of the poly urethane mounts in there. We're gonna put an aluminum bushing in there and then put the steel sleeve inside. And then we're gonna re-put it back in, get the motor left to right how we want it. I have the somewhere right here, I have the passenger side motor mount drilled out. We're gonna put a Welding washer because that's where it should be. And this is the right there's the factory hole, and then that's where we're putting it. So then once I get that in there, we'll tack it up, get the motor where we want, and then we'll use the transmission in the Crossmember, which needs to be re-welded. Then we can set our degree on the engine itself. We're probably gonna go with 1 or 2 degrees. Probably 1, just because I feel like this car's pretty straight being tube chassis and whatnot. Square tube chassis. But that's what we're gonna do. Let's get to it. Alright, got this motor mount all in. Grease to let the aluminum slide through the sleeve. I need it to just a hair. I think the sleeve needs to come a little bit further forward. Either way, onto this guy. All right, so we got the 2 aluminum bushing motor mounts in there onto our AJE front suspension Fox body clip on our Nova. We're gonna get the driver's side in, and then we're gonna set our level and where we want the passenger to line up. And we're probably gonna be 1 hole back. The driver's side, believe it or not, is I think all the way forward, or vice versa. Let's take a gander. Okay, so that's 1 hole back. This one's gonna be all the way forward. And that's because when I had them both 1 hole back for some reason, the transmission was crooked in the tunnel. So I guess the front clip is a little offset. Either way, we're gonna be putting it in the forwardmost hole, setting it in there, seeing where we want to weld the washer with a bolt going through it, tack it up, pull the motor mount off, weld her on up, throw her back in there, then we move on to transmission. Okay, so right now we're at 0.2 degrees. I believe the Passenger side is higher right now. We got the driver side all bolted up with the ICT billet adapters. Looks pretty clean. I think I need a longer bolt. No, it's flush. So next I gotta get this passenger side bolted on to the ICT billet adapter, and then we can see where we need to weld the weld washer once we get a bolt through. We got both aluminum bushings in. We got this one bolted up. It's not super tight just yet, but we got this one just barely lingering, but I cannot drop the hoist anymore without lifting the ass of this thing. So I need to jack up the trans and then ease on down so we can get closer to this bolt hole here. And then I'll show you what we're gonna do for that mount. Fighting this thing for hours now. Finally got the motor in there, got this bolt all the way through. I got the 2 step washers in, which if you didn't know, this is what a step washer looks like. It's to match the thickness of the motor mount that's already there. I just had to move the hole from way low to slightly closer to the block. So I got this tightened up. Now we're gonna weld as much of this as we can. Maybe weld the inside a little bit if I can, and then grind that down so that it's smooth. But she's in there. Got the motor mount just chilling out here, cooling off on the Scout. I had some extra space around the weld washer, so in between that and the motor mount, so I just filled that in on the inside. I'm just gonna ground that down smooth, that way it can fit around the chassis side of the motor mount. And same thing here, just went around. That's a little hot. Went around and hit that, and then same thing on the other side. I just came in there, filled the gap, and then I just touched from here to here because there was a slight opening. But not bad for who it's for. All right, it's been a long day messing with these motor mounts on and off, taking it in and out, tacking it, then taking the mount out, welding it up. I got the driver's side mounted as it always has been. We got the new aluminum bushings in there. I got the weld washers all welded up in there. I also welded the inside, and then I ground that down just to get rid of any gaps that were in the motor plate side and in between the weld washer. Right now, with weight down, we got a loose chain. I do have a transmission mount jack under there, so we could adjust this if need be, but right now she's sitting at a 0.3. Left to right, she's sitting at a 0.2. So this thing's pretty square in there. I'm gonna try and get an angle reading on the frame rails at full weight. Well, I guess I can't do full weight because I don't have a Crossmember, but I'm gonna see where the frame rails are and kind of base that off of the pitch of the engine. So I'd like to match the frame rails that go out of this post, which is a 2x3, and that goes all the way to the back of the car. So we're gonna try and match that. So next, transmission crossmember. I'm gonna weld these sleeves inside this Crossmember, which is just a 1 5/8 tube that is capped on both sides, but it originally had sleeves in there for a 3/8 bolt. I upgraded it to a 1/2 inch bolt. So I gotta get these sleeves welded up. We're gonna cut the old tabs off and then see where this is gonna lie so we can weld a tab onto this guy. So I got the car jacked up. We got the frame rails at level. Put the safety guy in there. You know how those Harbor Freight jack stands be. All right, so now I'm gonna take this guy back, and this is probably gonna be way off. Yeah, so now I gotta jack up the transmission to get it way less than 5 degrees. Right now it's reading 5.4. So I'm gonna jack up the transmission jack right there and try to correct this before I go cutting all the tabs for the transmission crossmember. Now, where are we at? 1.4. Not bad. All right, so got the two, well, I guess 4 tabs for the crossmember here. I gotta cut these off and clean it up so that we can get the new one mounted. So let's get to it. Next day, laying under the car, I got the transmission, what are these called? Transmission mount bolted on. It's a little loose. I think this tail on the mock-up transmission might be a little, the threads might be a little worn on it, but then I got this Allstar Performance transmission mount or crossmember bracket, which is a nice piece. It's already coped for like a 1 5/8 tube, which is perfect for what I'm doing. And then last night we got the tabs cleaned off. I'm not sure where they're gonna land yet, but we gotta get those tabs to fit back in here because the ones I bought are a little long, so we gotta grind those down, get it snugged up in here, tack it all up, take it out, and get it welded up. We got the crossmember in there. I got it sitting on the bracket here. I think there's just a hair gap in there, but the spots where it's coped around the tube are seated. I might have cut these tabs a little too short, but that's all right. Be able to fill that with the MIG, and then I just have that rubber clamp holding that thing in there. I'm probably going to tack it to the crossmember first, and then I'm going to unbolt the crossmember, bring it back down, and then weld it fully, bolt it back to the transmission, and then we'll work on the ends. That's what it looks like from underneath. Just put 2 small tacks there. And we're gonna weld that to the crossbar, and then we'll worry about these tabs on the end. I got the bracket welded onto the cross member here. Now I'm gonna bolt this where these two bolt holes are. And now we have to get these tabs welded to the chassis. All right, so get everything nut and bolted up. I'm gonna leave this bare. I'll eventually get it powder coated when this comes out. When the mock-up block and transmission come out, got these two bolts in there. Looks pretty clean from a distance, laying underneath it. But the main purpose is that it's stronger and it fits better. I will put the links in the description of the. This is just a Moroso solid motor mount, which is pretty much everywhere. This is Allstar Performance, and so are these tabs over here. I'll leave the link in the description below. But for now, I'm gonna loosen this trans mount, or hoist, holding its own weight right now. Brick shit house. Bar down on all four, looking good. I got the front lowered a little bit, but oh, I didn't even check how many degrees we're sitting at. So we're about 2, but according to when I had the chassis level, it was 1.5. So that means there's probably 5 degrees of slope in the car right now, or 0.5 degrees of slope. But not too shabby. The front still doesn't obviously have heads, turbo piping on it, so that should also lower it. If not, if this doesn't get lower than that, because right now she's still sitting pretty tall, we're gonna have to go to 80-pound springs instead of the 120s in the front. Right now it's looking good. Thank you so much for watching Hernando Hot Rods. That's gonna do it for this one. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and hopefully next video, we could get that guy mounted. Peace!